Welcome to an episode of Monisi Bakes. So I've made a few of these episodes before in the past, and I thought I would bring it back and just call it Monisi Bakes because I love baking. If you're new here, I really enjoy doing DIYs and crafting and things, but another passion of mine is baking. So today I thought I could show you a new recipe I haven't made before, but it's called Pesto pull-apart bread. I'm also going to be making a soup later on. My husband and I are having a date night in. So sometimes we do this where instead of spending a ton of money going out for like a dinner and a movie, we will have a date night in where we'll have a candlelit dinner and I make food for us. Very simple. Let's get started on this recipe and hopefully it turns out good. Our first step is putting the instant yeast in here and the sugar. So I'm just gonna put this here and then I'm gonna warm the milk up and add it in, whisk it, and then you're supposed to cover the bowl and let it rise for about 10 minutes, let it foam, and let the yeast do its thing before adding all the flour and other ingredients. So that's what I'm gonna do. These recipes will be linked down below in the description box if you want to try these. Once the active dry yeast was ready, I added 3 tablespoons of room temperature unsalted butter and then 1 egg at room temperature, 2 1/3 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and then half a teaspoon of dried basil. And then I mixed it up until the dough was formed. Perfect consistency. It says soft but slightly tacky. After you shape your kneaded bread, you put it in a greased bowl and then you cover it with plastic wrap, and keep it in a warm location for about an hour and a half until it doubles in size. So now while the dough is rising, I'm gonna set the table for tonight. Just gonna try to make it super cozy for a romantic meal with my husband. I decided to switch the tablecloths because this one needed to be washed, so I put a fresh tablecloth on the table, and then I decided to take a garland that we've had and I just kind of wrapped it up as if it was like a wreath, and I turned it on, and then I decided to put some candles in the middle, and then we also have this cute little house and also pine cones and berries in this cute house that we bought at Hobby Lobby. I decided to light that up and I thought it looked super cozy and it would work for our little date night. And now the bread is ready to be assembled, and what I ended up doing is I rolled it out, and then you're supposed to have cut at least 12 round pieces and then you flatten it. I think I had 11, but it still worked out. And then instead of homemade pesto, I just bought store-bought. You put it on and then add the mozzarella on top, and once you're done doing that, you want to fold them kind of like a taco, just fold it in half, and then once you're done doing that, you just plop it on a greased bread pan, and it's as easy as that. This is what it should look like when you're done assembling, and then you want to cover it once more and keep it in a warm location for about 45 minutes to rise once again, and then this is what it looks like after the 45 minutes. And then I put it in the oven, I think it was 375 for 50 minutes, 55 minutes, it just depends on your oven, and this is what it looked like. It was beautiful. And my mom had been sick, so I decided to give her a few pieces to try because just to make her a little happy. And she did end up really liking this bread, which I'm happy about. But look at that, the inside. I kind of wish I added more cheese because because it's cheese. I mean, you can never have enough cheese, right? Now we're going to make a soup called Marry Me Chicken Soup. And I cut up an onion, and then these little cubes were, my mom actually made these. She put garlic in the food processor, and then she put these in the freezer and she gave it to me. And then you will also need a jar of sun-dried tomatoes in oil, and you will put the oil, like about a tablespoon, it's a little more here, in a pan. And then I sauteed the onions and the garlic. I ended up cutting up the sun-dried tomatoes into smaller pieces because I'm not a big fan of when they're very chunky in soup, so I just decided to make them smaller. And again, I will leave the recipe to this down below. It does have salt, Italian seasoning, garlic powder. I used shell pasta, and I didn't use spinach, which it calls for. It does have, it asks for a rotisserie chicken, but instead of doing that, I actually just baked chicken, and then I shredded it afterwards and added it to the soup. It was just easier for me to do it that way. And you will need a cup of whipping cream as well, and honestly, I love creamy soup so much, so I was very excited to make this. And there's the chicken I was baking. I always season my chicken. Then you add a block of the Philadelphia cream cheese and just let it kind of melt into the soup. And honestly, this was a really good soup. The only thing is, it was like 2 teaspoons of salt was too much for this amount in my opinion, so I did add more water to not make it as salty. But this is what the soup looked like when it was finished and ready to eat. And then I just put them in bowls, and we had the bread as well, and then we were ready to have our date night. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you in the next video.